Hello and welcome to episode 2 in my Planet Coaster Seaside Amusement Park series, where I'm going to be building a Blackpool Pleasure Beach style Seaside Amusement Park in the theme park simulation game Planet Coaster in sandbox mode. Last episode, which you can find up in the cards in the top right up here, I showed you guys a few coasters I've built and other rides in the park, including an aerodynamics hyper coaster which is going to run along the seafront, a Wild Mouse which is going to be on a pier, others as well as an arrow looping coaster, classic wooden coaster, and much more. In this episode I'm going to be building a vintage bobsleigh coaster, so a wooden bobsleigh coaster, log flume, and I'm going to be putting another flat ride in as well, and you're going to see all of that in a second. So without further ado, let's get into the game. Okay, so here we are in the park. As you can see, this is what we built last episode, or I showcased last episode should I say. Yeah, so go and check out last episode if you haven't already. You'll know I put a card up before. Yeah, this is a series, as I mentioned last episode, where we're building this Blackpool Pleasure Beach style park. So make sure you subscribe and click the bell to enable notifications so you don't miss out future episodes of this series when they're uploaded, as well as my other videos that I have coming up. Because obviously I do those of you who watch will know I do my top 10s, reviews, and I'm starting to some reacting to videos soon. Just doing what I can during these times where we can't be visiting theme parks. So yeah, there's not a ton changed since last episode, but as promised I have built this bobsleigh coaster down here. There's not many of these left in the world now. In fact, I'm pretty sure that the only one left is Flying Turns at Knoebels. That's park in the United States. I'm pretty sure that's the only one of these left now. I'm pretty sure the rest are closed down. So yeah, nice to have one of these in here. You'll notice straight away here, you'll think, what on earth have I done here putting the platform up so high? I know it looks a bit like Revolution here with it raised up so high with all this scaffolding, but there's not going to be scaffolding because what I'm going to do is I'm going to build some ground up here. So essentially the theme of this ride which I plan, and please comment down below if you think that something different would be more appropriate, any tweaks to the layout that I could do, because I could always do that. You know, this isn't set in stone, this is just a plan. I always build my layouts first before like doing any terrain forming and kind of placing foliage or whatever, because it's much easier to change your coaster layout than it is to change kind of the terrain and foliage. So I always leave that to the end. That's just a little tip for you guys, because it means that obviously you know if you change your mind about the ride or whatever before kind of you've decided, okay, this is what I'm going to do, you know, if you're still a bit unsure, it's much easier to go and like move the ride or whatever and like change the layout than it is to kind of mess around with the terrain and foliage, because you know those systems are just much harder to work with. So yeah, so the theme of this ride, as I was saying, is it's kind of going to be that, you know, that these people kind of living in the trees have built this machine that's going to allow you to fly over the treetops. I mean, it's a bit old school. We're going to have much more kind of high-tech, futuristic themed rides in this park. But, you know, this area, it's meant to be like, this side of the park's got the more vintage rides, so also the more vintage themes, because, you know, this is quite basic. We're going to have like I've got a plan for like an indoor coaster kind of theme to like, you know, space. I know, a bit, and it's not going to be a Space Mountain rip-off, I promise you. Yeah, but you know, this is the more vintage area, so I want to give the impression that this ride's been around for a while, really. But yeah, because you know, this could have been built in like the 1930s before, You know, the first man landed on the moon, pretty much. So yeah. So the theme is you're going to be flying through the trees. So I had decided to have it start kind of high up. So then you're going to kind of curve down here, and this is a bit of a pre-drop section here, but also you could say like phase 1 of the rides, but it's quite a long pre-drop section. So obviously you curve down to the left here. Obviously this ride, I forgot to mention, is got different shades of wood. We've got some dark woods, or kind of dark oak woods for the main trough itself of the ride, and then for the support structure I've used a red wood colour, so you know, keeping it with that kind of foresty tree theme, because this part of the park is going to have a lot of foliage to fit with that, and sort of the loose theme of the ride. It's not going to be heavy theme, no pre-shows or anything like that, just a nice loose theme. So you're going to helix down there. It's quite an intense helix that actually, you'll get some nice force off there. But this is a family coaster, so not too intense for the families. You're then going to hit the lift hill. I've got no brakes whatsoever. I want to feel this to feel like an old coaster. It's a bit on edge, so it's going to fly into that lift hill. And you know what? I'll set it going round so you can see, because it's closed at the moment. So let's get that testing. So there we go. So you're going to go up this lift hill here, down this little pre-drop into the main ride itself. So you pretty much got some zigzag curves there. Down to the left, you got a wide turn there. That's just to give a bit more room for bits of scenery I'm going to use for the log flume, because I didn't want all this to be covered up by supports really. Originally, actually, I was going to have a flat ride here and the ride would curve around that, but it just meant there wasn't enough room for me to put in this log flume. You know, I want to keep everything compact in this park, and it wouldn't have given me enough room to do what I wanted with the log flume if that ride was there. So I have moved the ride I'm talking about, and it's actually the Golden Eagle ride I showed you last episode that's near this corkscrew coaster on the right, or should I say arrow looping coaster. I believe it, they're used interchangeably, looping coaster, corkscrew coaster. And here it is, the Golden Eagle ride. It's moved slightly, so it used to be about here, and then when they built the Bobsled coaster, I put it down here, and then I decided to put it here, in between the wooden coaster that I built last episode and the bottom curve of the Bobsled coaster. But anyway, back to the Bobsled coaster. So you curve around here. I thought I put a couple of airtime hills. I don't think they really give you any airtime, but it's just a break from the zigzag transitions that these coasters have. And there it goes, actually, over those hills. Because coasters like Avalanche, it's just zigzaggy, and I didn't want that. I wanted to kind of have couple little bunny hills there, just to add some variety to it. And then pretty much you curve down here, and then this is the final curve pretty much, and you've gained a lot of speed here. I believe it's 37 miles per hour, this coaster. It does have some high G-forces. The laterals are about, well, they're over 1. However, because it's an old coaster, health and safety wasn't as big a deal, it wouldn't have been as big a deal back when this was built. So in a way, that is quite realistic. I mean, the lateral's quite high, but it's not as high as Wild Mouse at Pleasure Beach, which pretty much had to get removed for health and safety. They tried to adapt it, as I mentioned last episode, to make it more safe, but unfortunately it had to close. So yeah, it should be just about okay in terms of modern health and safety. And then you pretty much again fly into the final lift hill, which is going to take you back up into the station. And yeah, I gave this quite a shallow gradient because I just thought it'd be better than having like a long straight section at the top. I don't know. As I said, let me know if you want me to change it. But yeah, you'll see it fly up there. You reach the top of there, curve back left into the station, and that's that. So next, we're going to go into the log flume. I'll pre-warn you now, and as you can probably see, this is going to be a shorter episode. than last episode, which turned out to be really long. I didn't intend for it to be, but I just had so much to show you really. I am going to try and make these episodes shorter. They will probably, most of them will be in between the length of this and the last episode. I'm going to do, I should mention now, Planet Coaster every fortnight on Saturdays at 6 PM from now on, rather than every week, because I've decided a bit more what I want to do kind of with the reacting to series that I said about starting, that I kind of started Planet Coaster in place of earlier than I originally was going to start it. The first episode was meant to go out this week, but I kind of had everything set in stone for that and not for the React series, which will start next weekend, and then they'll alternate weekend on weekend, and it just gives me a bit more time to do stuff in Planet Coaster, because I don't feel like I've done very much since the last episode, and I want to, these episodes to be of value to you guys. I want you to, I want to show you lots of stuff. I don't want to just, feel pointless. I want you guys to get something from these episodes, so I feel that to ensure that, it'd be better off to do Planet Coaster every 2 weeks rather than doing it every week and me not being able to show you as much as I'd like, or that would be of value to you, full value to you for an episode, and so that it doesn't feel a bit rushed. I'm not having to rush to complete things in a week to show you as much as possible and then them be of poorer quality. I want these episodes to be of the best quality possible. But here's the log flume. No boats currently in the station, and this is pretty much going to be like a forest kind of river, pretty much. Not much storyline with this. It's just going to be like, essentially has the illusion of like a river going through the forest. I'm going to do some rock work around it and stuff, some trees. I might put in some scenery if I feel like there's bits that would fit, scenery items. But you got to remember, as I said last episode, and I mentioned it at the start of this episode, this is a Seaside Amusement Park, so theming's not really the focus. It's more about the rides themselves, but obviously still making them look presentable, but yeah, so we start off here, curve round to the left, and I've tried to make sure that this interacts with the bobsleigh coaster next to it, giving that Blackpool Pleasure Beach style feel with rides interacting with each other, and it also helps in me being able to kind of conserve space in this park so that I can put as many rides in as possible, because I want this park to have a lot of rides like close together, as I said, like a Blackpool Pleasure Beach style, and obviously it's by the sea as well, but yeah, so pretty much curve under here. Some of these are probably going to be tunnels just formed with scenery to make it look a bit better, or should I say I'm going to use a terrain forming to create these, and some others will be interacting with the support structure, just depending on what I think is best really, and what fits best with the bobsleigh coaster as well. So we curve round here, and then we've got our first lift hill, about 40 foot tall, and then you curve round to the left. We've got a first drop down here, basically back to ground level. One thing to note here, those of you who play Planet Coaster may be thinking, why have I not used like the splashdown sections? I just don't think they're very good. I am going to put in like my own splashdown section that'll be created with like water and stuff, but I just don't like the Planet Coaster ones that much with how they look, so I thought just use these instead. I just use normal Flume, like the normal Flume trough. To be honest, I don't like the log flume full stop in this game. I think it's designed to be a travelling log flume, which kind of fits with the theme in this park, to be honest. Some stuff isn't meant to look maybe as good as it could be if this was a theme park, but like I said, I still want it to be presentable to some extent. We could have some issues with room here, making a splashdown with the corner bit there being so tight, but I'm going to see what I can do with that, because I'm up for a challenge. But yeah, then you curve around to the right, to the left through here. Then we've got this kind of run here. I plan to have like the path down here, so guests will be able to walk under the coaster as well. But yeah, and then you got a bit of a straight section here, and then curving round to the left, a bit of an S-bend style again to the right, and then up the final lift hill, which is about 50 foot tall, and then that levels out into the final drop. I believe it's 55 foot actually, and then into the final splashdown. I just realised I may have to move. Yeah, I may have to do something with that. Because I'm not sure I'm going to have enough room to do the splashdown fully. In fact, you know what? I'll show you now. Let's do some building, shall we? Because I've not done this in an episode yet. Like I said, I'm not going to do loads of time-lapse footage because I don't see the point with this park, with it being an amusement park, because there's nothing too complex that you'd be wondering probably how have I built that, really. And like with a theme park site, I just feel like time-lapse footage can be a bit pointless, to be honest, in some cases. But yeah. And whoa, there we go. Yeah, I've got angle snap on, haven't I? Yep. So what we probably want is we want to delete this corner. It's nice and easy, the Planet Coaster and ride building system once you got the hang of it. Right, what do we want? Yeah, we might want to move that back a bit. My worry is I want to make this realistic in terms of I aim to put like a transfer track here for the coaster and make like a maintenance shed just to make it look a bit more realistic. I'll just do this with the coasters, by the way, not with the other rides. Possibly with the tracked rides I might do, but I don't think I'm going to do one for a log flume. Like the log flumes don't have maintenance sheds to be in the same way that coasters do. I mean, you might, because the boats though, aren't they? They wouldn't. Would log flumes have a transfer track? I don't know. Comment down below. Do you want me to do like a maintenance area for the log flume, or do you think it'd be better not to? Because my gut feeling is that it's not essential to do that, but it depends what you guys want. And this is a thing I have with the log flume. You're limited to 12 meter pieces minimum. With coasters, you can, with most of them, you can go to as little as 4 meters per piece, or even less than that. And there we go. That's enough room now. Probably to do that drop. And actually, you've got like a weird curve there. What I might actually do is, what should I do? No, actually, you know what? If it looks a bit weird, it looks a bit weird. I need enough room to do. I want to do that maintenance shed and have a path going there, and I'm worried that I might not have enough room if I don't do that weird little curve there. But you know, it is a log flume. You don't always have. You sometimes have weird curves like that, so I don't think it's a big deal. And that's that. Finally then, the last thing I have to show you is this ride here. Flying Eagles. It's going to be a little flat ride. It's more aimed at children, this. And one of the reasons I actually, well, I wanted to use theme park music in these videos and other music. It's not just theme park music, as you can hear. I have used one of the Fort Park songs in this video, though, with soundtrack, should I say. It's because I would probably get, I could get copyrighted for the theme park music, to be honest, as well. But with this, it plays the Flight of the Valkyries song by default, and that's also the Revolution song actually, or one of the Revolution songs. You can hear it at the bottom of Revolution's stairs, and as you're going up the stairs, although they don't always have that music on. This is Blackpool Pleasure Beach I'm talking about, by the way, but you probably knew that, with most of you guys who watch my videos being British enthusiasts. You probably knew what I was on about, but yeah. Basically, you pretty much ride on these birds, or eagles I think it is. And yeah, I just thought this is another nice ride. You know, it fits with all the foliage and stuff, like the trees around this area plan to have, which is kind of going to end about here. And there's, yeah, and then kind of the other rides, you've got obviously the Golden Eagles, which is kind of like a Starflyer type ride, which you can actually change the height of, although I've left it at 100 foot. Because of the nature of this area with the trees, I want it to be a bit hidden away. And I'm also going to have a lot of other tall rides in this park, so I don't want the skyline to be too cluttered as well, because it is already going to be quite cluttered in terms of there's going to be a lot of tall rides in this park, and I didn't want that here. Yeah, so the next episode is going to be a big one, and no, not a big one retrack. Shout out to Josh from Theme Park Mad for that one. I do realise that the rest of you probably don't have a clue what I'm on about, and if that applies to you, click the cards up in the top right to go and watch the video from Blackpool opening day this year, and you'll see exactly what I mean. But yeah, we're going to be kind of putting in the main park infrastructure, some more paths. I'm also going to be showing you the path trick I mentioned last episode, so be sure to check out that to see what I mean. Basically placing like the roof tiles over paths and over normal grass areas as well, just to give a more realistic feel, in terms of that theme parks don't really have paths. They're kind of just all one concrete floor, or multiple levels should I say, with like fences and walls to separate off areas pretty much, rather than being like paths and grass. You'll know what I mean, you'll see what I mean when I do this. You know, it's going to look more realistic than it does now, but yeah, I'm liking this series so far. Be sure to leave a like if you do. As I said, comment down below your ideas for, you know, topics I mentioned in this video. If you want me to change the layout of the coaster or the log flume, that being the bobsleigh coaster, if you think there's anything I could do that would be more appropriate. And as I said, don't forget to subscribe to make sure you don't miss anything. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.